Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christian Martinez, and welcome to Building Rapid Feedback Loops with Google Workspace and Microsoft Online. A little bit about myself. As you already know, my name is Christian. I have my master's degree in cognitive neuroscience from the Graduate Center. I'm an adjunct lecturer at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, one of the CUNY schools. Please feel free to take my class. I hope it's great. I also work full-time at Tivity Health as a data scientist. Obviously, I'm here as a facilitator at the Evaluation and Learning Consulting. And a fun fact about myself is that I have been to 49 out of the 50 states. I'll give you one hint. It is not New York, the one that I'm missing. Any guesses are definitely welcome, but it's going to be a tough one. So I'm like still getting a flurry of different people getting in, but let's move forward. So what you will get from today, there are really two main objectives that we are trying to end with today. The first is an overview of how Google and Microsoft Forms can provide a nimble format for responsive data collection. The first part is really just looking at how these two platforms can help with data collection. The second is how Google Looker Studio and Microsoft Power BI, respectively, can assist with real-time analysis of key metrics for easy and interactive reporting. So combining these two, the first is getting the data, making sure it's responsive. And then the second is reporting the data, make sure that it's easy and understandable for everyone around. Let me see. Okay. So let's get right into it. I love the design. I'm going to share the link to everybody. And I would love for you to take a few minutes. It should not be that long. I'm going to drop the the form in the chat. And if you could all fill out this form really quick, it's a Google form, I'd appreciate it. And please, in the chat, let me know if there's any questions or if you can't click on the form, anything like that. For those who are just joining, welcome. I put in the chat, if you can see it, a link to a Google form that we'll be utilizing for this. If you could please fill that out, it should take only a few minutes. That'd be great. To anyone else, if there's any questions, please feel free to either say it out loud or to talk about it in the chat. Here to help. See. All right, we're really jumping. I like it. Went from 2 to 29. What do you think? We can make it to 50? All right, 34. We're on the move. Can we get a few more people? And again, for the people that are trickling in, I put a link to the demo form in the chat. If you could just fill that out quickly, that'd be great. All right, can we make it to 40? If we can, then we will start moving forward. I think we may be at our lucky number 37. I'm gonna check one more time. 38. Oh, sorry. The people do not have the link for the yes. Let me repost it. I apologize. This is the link.
I can repost it
Oh,
if that
thanks.
helps.
I
Yeah.
think I also just reposted it.
Just in case anyone more trickles in.
Okay. We can come back to this. Let me share this part. So everyone can see my screen. Yes, great. So creating the data collection tool. We just got a glimpse of what a Google form looks like through the link. And if you haven't done it already, please feel free to still do it. There is still time, but it's not too pressing. And there's a lot of benefits to using forms. Number one, definitely an easy way to collect information. Within a matter of minutes, we went from only 2 responses to almost 40. And that's just in this instance. Next, it's online. Anyone that has access to the internet can fill out the forms. Excuse me, I'm going to, okay. Let me mute this person. Okay, sorry about that. I can't share. Okay, so online. One of the things is that even though you can do it on your computer, you can actually do it on your phone as well, and something that I've done. So it really makes it very easy to access. Number three, it's free. And in my family, I have a saying, if it's free, it's for me, which is really fantastic, especially when you're trying to do data collection on a budget. Collaborative. So, for instance, Elizabeth and I, we were able to work on this form together. So it really allows for bodies and groups of people to work on the same project. User friendly. I don't know how you feel, but when I take these forms, it's very easy to navigate, it's understandable and readable. Has a lot of features, and this is something that we can go into a little bit, but also has the opportunity for you to explore on your own. And maybe the most important in terms of our talk today is that it can provide live data to visualizations and visualization tools such as Data Studio and Power BI. So really that last portion, which is the connectivity to other platforms, really enhances it. And of course, even though there are pros, there are always going to be some cons. And some drawbacks are, number one, you need a Microsoft or a Google account to create a form. Nowadays, most people have either a Gmail or an Outlook email. So it's not too big of a stretch, but this is just needed to create the form. I want to emphasize that it's not to take it. There are not as many features as Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey. And last is that there are templates and design options, but they are limited. So let's actually take a look from the back end. Can everyone still see my screen? All right, cool. So this is what the demo form looks like from the creator's view. We see that there's different colors, and we're on the questions portion where you are making, editing, deleting, whatever you want with the questions. The first thing that I see is that we are on section 1 of 3. And if you remember that when you were taking the form, if you were able to take it, there were 3 pages. So each of these sections relates to one of the pages in sequential order. So right now we are looking at section 1 or page 1. We see that we have the title, demo form. We have a little bit of an explanation. And then right after this, we have the first question. Clicking into it, I see the title of the question. I see to its right, the type of question, which is multiple choice. And then I have the list of options that I can choose from. Just right over here, I have multiple choice clicked it, but there's a bevy of different options. You can have check boxes, you can have short answer, linear scale, time. There are really a bunch of different options that you can choose. You can also just click on the X to delete, etc. One of the smaller but mightier things about this as well is right over here. So for instance, this first question that we have, it's required, meaning that you have to click or answer this question in order for you to submit the form right over here. And I can turn it on and off very easily. Going back, we have sections 1 out of 3. If I scroll all the way down, I can see that there's a break. So there's this, which is the last question of section 1. And then right over here starts the section 2 out of 3. Right over here, when I click on this one, I actually see, and this is such a powerful tool, is we have the ability to do conditional logic. So is your office Google or Microsoft based? You had the option of picking Google, Microsoft, or neither. And depending on your answer, you were brought to a different section. So all the Google users were brought somewhere. All the Microsoft users were brought somewhere else. And then anyone that didn't use either was brought to the end of the. Let me mute this person. Okay, cool. Which means that if the Google people were using the Google people were brought to a totally different place than the Microsoft people. And this is very cool and very powerful. We go to section 3. We could see that this is Microsoft. Section 2 is Google. And that's pretty much it.
Using something you'd be interested in. They can't hear me.
So now going into, we want to make sure that the data are live in the spreadsheet. We see that we can collect the data. We know that looking at the visuals that it was able to go from 2 to 38. And we want to see where they are. So going back, we have the first portion, which is questions. Next is responses. So we're able to see that there are 43 responses now. Nice. We got it up a little bit. We have some summary, question, and individual. What's fantastic is that even before we get to the Power BI or the Looker Studio portions, Google Forms gives us visualizations to visualize the data in the responses. So right from here, we can see that there's 43 responses. Most people live outside of New York City. How unfortunate. And then we have some little slivers. We see zip codes, etc. And this is all done by Google Forms. This is not something that I have done and really configured on the back end. What's also really cool, and this may be skipping a little ahead in my spreadsheet, in my PowerPoint, but right here, if we click on this, my access is denied. How unfortunate. Can I see? This is very unfortunate. If I had to describe what you'd be able to see, would be that all of the responses here that have been collected would be automatically transferred and live in their own Google spreadsheet. Just like in Excel format, you'd have each of the questions being their own columns, and then each response per person would be listed in each row. Very tabular, very comfortable for anyone that's used Excel, and it's easy to go back and to look at the data there. Afterwards, we will send you what it would look like so you can see. Are there any questions right now that I may be able to answer very quickly?
Christian, so Google Forms needs to have internet in order for anyone to access the forms. There's no ability for people to access it without, and then have it maybe you gather responses somehow in a different location, and then when you get to internet access, you can have it connect to a cloud instead or something like that.
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm not 100% certain on the intricacies, but I am 98% sure that if you do not have internet access, there is no way to change this.
Use
Now,
it. Okay,
in
got it.
theory, and this is like kind of defeats the purpose of Google Forms or Microsoft, is that you could manually add the data to the spreadsheet format. I wasn't able to show you that. However, the purpose of this is trying to be from one place to another, get you from start to finish without having to do any of that manual labor. Did that answer your
Yes, got
question?
it, got it. Yeah, got it. I was just trying to address because Scott had mentioned a point that he was making about like who is actually able to use this tool essentially. And so, individuals, it's really only um for populations that do have access to this type of
Mhm.
technology or, internet access.
Yeah, that's really the key. And
Got it.
I apologize, just based off time. If you could please post your questions in the chat and we can either go back at the end if we have time to answer them, or if we don't, I'll be happy to answer them and email the answers to everybody, if that's okay. Cool. So we have talked about the form. We've gone through the questions, we've gone taking it, we've gone on the back end, seeing the visualizations, we've answered some questions. Now we want to get to the next step. And the first would be, so you want to automate. And really turning back to the same question, this automation happens straight up automatically. Once this person or these bevy of people take the form, both the visualizations in Google Forms is going to update, and whatever service you're using, in our case, Looker Studio, which is connected to this form, is going to automate, which is really the best part, in my opinion, about this. From start to finish, it brings you right there. And before we go a little bit further, it's important to talk about what a dashboard is, because some people have different definitions, but there's really some key points. One being, a dashboard is a tool that contains all of the real-time information its readers need to make effective decisions. And that's dependent on the client, on the person, and really fits the needs, somewhat like a lock and key form. And it's directly connected to one or more databases and automatically updates itself. Again, going back to this automatic and updates. And the information is shared via visualizations. Some people, and unfortunately at Tivity Health, we do this. People think that sending an Excel spreadsheet is a dashboard, but it's typically very stagnant, not live, and no visualizations. So it doesn't fit the degree to what a dashboard should be. And creating live dashboards. Benefits of Data Studio. Number one, extremely similar to Tableau and Power BI. If you ever use either of those, there's a lot of transferable skills. And if you see one, you can kind of get the gist with a little bit of help on how to use the others. Again, if it's for free, it's for me, and Data Studio is free. It's fantastic that both the Forms and Data Studio are free and connect. Easy to learn. There are a ton of different ways to learn online and different videos, etc., and very user-friendly to play around with. Easy to share, as right now we are here sharing. Collaborative. Just like Google Forms, different people in different groups can collaborate and work on it together. And really can draw from many different types of data sources, such as Google Sheets or any database that you can obtain a URL from. Again, highlighting really that it's Google Sheets or a URL. And without the refresh that I was showing before, it updates every 15 minutes. So that is pretty on time, I would say. Drawbacks, unfortunately, not everything can be perfect. You need a Google account to use. Creating one is easy, but getting a username is a lot harder nowadays. There aren't as many features as Tableau or Power BI, however, still very powerful. And there are issues around security. If collecting private information and storing it in the cloud, that's something you should always talk to your legal department or whomever is going to be utilizing this. Now, here comes the fun part. Let's show what we have. And here we are. Let me do a refresh. So we went from 2 to 38 to 43. Amazing. Now, first, we look on our left. We see that there are 4 different pages. Page 1, page 2, Google questions, and Microsoft questions. Again, this is our Looker Studio dashboard that we created. So we put 4 different pages. We also named them. Looking to the right, we see some very pop-out visualizations. And this is just a hint of all the capabilities that can be done here. We see that there are 43 responses. We can also see the bar graph of what industries are being worked in. Right now, we see that other is 24, and that's the top, all the way down to information technologies. And all of these together would add up to 43. On the bottom left corner, we're seeing a visualization, a map specifically of all the different zip codes that we're coming in from. Very cool that some people are all the way out. I won't tell you if one of these states is the one I haven't been to yet, though. That's going to have to keep you guessing. And the next to the right is really one of the most salient parts of our form are our offices Google or Microsoft based. It seems that Microsoft's winning right now. And while we don't have particular filters on right now where you can pick on a drop down, what is cool is that these are all interactive within each other, all the visualizations. So for instance, if I click on the Microsoft bar, now all of my other visualizations change in their dynamic. So we can see the responses of only the people that said that they were Microsoft based, where they are down here, how many total responses, and we can double check because 20, it was 43, now there's only 20, and that's the height of the bar. And then this. Just going through quickly, we can see some other visualizations. Excuse me, my filter's still on. I apologize. We can see some different visualizations. We see a tree map. We see which borough everyone's located in, how many children we all have, how many familiar are Google Forms, Looker Studio, and the same thing. Was that a question?
Remember Hub? Yeah.
Let me mute. So really just looking through all of this, we can see that there's different types of visualizations. One's a tree map. We even see 2 different types of maps. One that's circular on the first page showing dots. The other one that's actually mapping the borough. And quick feature as if I didn't show before, you can zoom in and out of these. And really, there's so many different opportunities and so many different types of visualizations you can put into your dashboard. don't think we have, let me see. I don't know if we have the other one available. We can show you a little later. And lastly, are there any more questions that I can answer currently? We have a few minutes.
Are you going to go over like how you created those different things or sort of the back end of the Looker dashboard?
Let's do it right now. So
Awesome.
we have the edit button. So before that, right now we are in the view version of this. We can go into the edit version. Now, if anyone's seen Power BI or Tableau, this should seem similar. Right over here is kind of like our working vises. To the left are the different pages, similar to how the view was showing. We have on top, add a chart. We have tables, pies, bar, line, etc., pivot tables even. Add a chart. And on the far most right are all of the different, so excuse me, before that, we have the source of our data. And then below it are all the different columns. They're all in green. And you can see that ABC relates to characters. We have borough translated, which is a globe, meaning that it's mapping data. We have timestamps. And so really what you can do, if you're on a different page, you can click and drag and even see what that looks like. Or you can go to add a chart, add that, and then drag your fields there. We have filters, properties, data, really a lot to explore in days, weeks, months, which is sometimes what people spend on one data visualization.
Awesome. I have another question.
Sure.
So the demo form responses you're taking, that's that Excel spreadsheet that's linked to the form where all the data was collected that we weren't able to bring up, right? The view and sheet.
Yeah, so
So
the data Mhm.
my follow-up question to that is, can you edit that sheet in Google Docs? I know that I can do it in like Microsoft when you do Microsoft Forms and the Excel spreadsheet that's attached to that. But can you like add new variables or do a calculation or separate variables out, something like that? Like, can you quote unquote clean that data set?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely clean. It's again very unfortunate, but you can go in and you can manipulate it however you like. Like
Okay.
for instance, I mean, this goes into data quality and integrity, however you'd like to decide it, but you could delete a response if they were giving BS answers or something like that, or you could change it to do that. And there are opportunities for you to do calculations here instead of the spreadsheet. It really
Mhm.
depends on what your data looks like and what you're trying to get at.
Okay. And last question is, if, for example, your data is maybe static, so it's not going to be ongoing forms collected, right? You could just upload a static spreadsheet to here that's not connected to a forms with
Yes.
Google. Cool.
Technically, you could have a Google spreadsheet connect to this and it would work.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be collaborative in the same way that a form was, but you could do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. And I just wanted to really quick, so thank you all so much for coming. I know it's time to go. Please continue to post any questions in the chat. And just wanted to give a shout out to what
Christian, just a quick one.
Mhm.
How did you connect the URL of the Google Forms to the Looker Studio?
That would be right in your Looker Studio. So in another time, and we can describe this more when we send out the answers to the questions, we could talk about this adding data part, where it's the connection between what's in your Google Sheets and what's here. That answer your question?
Yes, but if I got you right, that is going to be another session, right?
I'm gonna have to check with Liz on that. I was just referring to more the fact that it's something that we don't have time to talk about because it is 2 minutes over.
All right, thank you.
No problem. So quickly, There are more opportunities to learn. These are two of the workshop groupings that we have: Foundational Data Analytics Certificate and the 2 certificates that we can earn. And if you'd love to continue learning with us, we have another session for rapid feedback loops, a little more in depth. We also have creating interactive dashboards in Tableau. Excuse me, let me do it from here. We are offering a 40% discount within 24 hours. This discount is going to expire after the allotted time. We also have data analysis with Excel 2 and GIS for data analysis 1. We are going to be sending this deck out, so do not fret if you are not able to click on it or sign up right now. But 40% off is a fantastic deal, and would love to have everyone continue learning with us. I am going to stop